Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Love Speaks, August 22nd. So last Monday, the 16th, I chatted to you about the 12 powers that inherently are part of our divinity. Every single person has these powers, ranging from love to wisdom to enthusiasm. There's a power of will that we also have. And I'm going to read to you The Power of Will, Reverend Linda Martella-Whitsett. And the reason I chose will is because August is the time of year that people of unity focus on that power and really practice it to get better at it. So will is the spiritual capacity to choose, to commit, and to be willing. And the Course in Miracles says you only need to be a little bit willing to take that first baby step and then build from there. So the affirmation that Linda created, I use my power of will to choose, to commit, and to be willing. As someone who has studied and taught about the 12 powers for several years, I have heard many students say they steer away from the power of will. It's easy to confuse the power of will with willpower, which often fails. I mean, just think about your New Year's Eve resolutions. Or to believe that will is imposed by God, a God out there. Do God's will. I heard that a lot as a young Catholic, which means it is unwelcome and hard. Neither of these understandings inspire the practice of spiritual will, and neither explain the potential of our great innate power of will. Will is the spiritual capacity to choose, to commit, to be willing. Although choice involves effort, to choose is not to force. There seems to be a sweet spot in the balance between effort and allowing, where will becomes powerful. The power of will is less about exerting control over what is happening and more about choosing our response to what is happening. A common message in unity is God's will for you is prosperity or joy or love or health. So let's work with health as an example. What does it mean to say that God's will for you is health? It helps to interpret God, the word God, metaphysically. What do we mean by God? In popular translation of the Lord's Prayer, we read, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God is the heavenly or ideal. In relation to health, God is the ideal state of wholeness and well-being, the principle of health. Charles Fillmore, who is Unity's co-founder, taught that our I am or Christ nature is linked to divine mind, and therefore it is possible for us to manifest on earth as it is in heaven. Fillmore wrote, the simple statement, I will to be well, gathers the forces of mind and body about the central idea of wholeness, and the will holds the center just as long as the I am continues its affirmation. And that quote is from Christian Healing, Unity Books, 1909. Jean, diagnosed with several autoimmune disorders, experiences chronic symptoms such as joint inflammation, fatigue, mental fog, and body pain. Getting out of bed each morning requires monumental effort, and relentless symptoms scream at her for her full attention. A student of unity, Jean has been cultivating her innate power of spiritual will to transform her experience of daily living. So before rising from bed each day, Jean devotes a few minutes to spiritual and mental activation of will, affirming, "I will to be well." Jean chooses to anchor her attention on the principle of wholeness and well-being. She recognizes signs of divine life in her body and mind, appreciating that even with the physical limitations of her current circumstances, she is capable of living fully. I'm going to comment on that paragraph, and just to fully bring home to you that Jean, what she's doing is she's focusing on the parts of her body that are working in perfect wholeness and wellness. This is how she's encouraging herself and understanding that she is the master of her current experience. Activating the power of will physically, Jean promises herself, makes a commitment to demonstrate wholeness and well-being in one particular way and do it daily. Understanding that some days she feels better than others, she selects a practice that is reasonable and definite, that can be done in 15 minutes per day, and that proves her true wholeness and well-being. For several weeks, Jean committed to pranayama, yoga breathing exercises, to stimulate circulation and healthful body chemistry. At other times, Jean committed to mindfulness and meditation, conversations with supportive friends, reading about the principle of wholeness and well-being, or journal writing about all that is going well in her life. Jean finds that committing to one practice each day is not only possible, it is the sustaining power of will. It is the I am continuing its affirmation. Sometimes honoring her commitment is the last thing Jean wants to do. At such times, Jean draws on the aspect of will that says, even though I'd rather not, I am nevertheless willing. Even though I'd rather not, I am nevertheless willing. Notice that Jean focuses on fulfilling her will to be well, rather than trying to control her symptoms. Will is at its best when directed towards our inner spiritual capacity to fulfill the principle rather than fixated on the circumstances and conditions appearing in any moment. This focus gathers the forces of mind and body that transform us and our circumstances. Reverend Linda Martella-Whitsett is the Vice President of Unity Prayer Ministry. Thank you for listening in. I know this example of Jean, very strong example of commitment in action, really teaches me a lot about dealing with my own challenges that come up. I need to remember to not focus on the circumstances, but focus on my well-being and wholeness, affirming I will to be well. That's the principle of health. And we can apply commitment and the will to be prosperous and to be successful and to have a positive mindset, and to have the love relationships we want in our life. So there's many areas in life that we can activate our spiritual capacity for will. We can activate will. We can choose, we can commit, and we can be willing. So I bless you, my friends. May you have a wonderful week full of willingness to do that which is yours to do for you and for others. Blessings to you. Mwah. Ciao for now.